Hey Wargamers, welcome back to the channel Death from Above Wargaming. I'm Aaron and I am back with yet another Summer Battlytics review on Wave 2 Clan Mechs. This is what everybody voted for on Patreon, and tonight we are looking at one of my favorites. Goes way back to the days of my youth, MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries, the Cauldron Born. Some people call it the Ebon Jaguar, but I refuse. It will always be a Cauldron Born to me. It's a very cool mech. So this thing debuts in like 3049. It's a very late era clan mech. It does make its way into the Battle of Tukid, and of course in that famous MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries game, in the Battle of Luthien, and so on and so forth. It was just an iconic design, and the resculpt in Wave 2 is fantastic. I think they really did it justice. So this thing was designed to replace the venerable but also vulnerable Hellbringer, which has paper for armor. So this thing is supposed to be a little bit tougher. It is that 65-ton mech, and frankly, it's very reasonably priced. We'll be looking at the Cauldron Born Prime. That thing is, I believe it's like 1950 or I think it's 1,952 battle value to be precise. But it's a solid design. It's got some of my favorite weapons on there. It's got a Gauss, LRM-10, I think an SRM-2 and an LBX-5 or an LB-5X, depending on which camp you're in. But yeah, it's a really good all-around mech, I think. So we're gonna take a look at it. We're gonna see how it does. So guys, stay tuned. It is coming right up. Alright guys, here we are, what we've been waiting for, the Cauldron Born, Ebon Jaguar. Cauldron Born sounds so much cooler. Apparently that name is derived from some Irish zombie mythology. I don't know much about Irish zombies, but it sounds cool. So anyway, this is the Prime, 65 tons, battle value of 1952. It is a clan heavy and was produced in 3049. Service history shows us this thing persists all the way into the Ill Clan era, as it should. It's a solid design. Movement profile of 5'8", which I love because you can claim that +3 on the target mod. It has a dissipation of 26, so 13 double heat sinks. Does have an XL engine of the clan variety and packing endosteel and ferrofibrous armor. 9.5 tons of that to be precise, for about 86% total armor coverage, which is good. Most mechs you see around, the 75-80% range, 86%, very good. Most of the clan mechs are actually much higher because they tend to pack the ferrofibrous. But so this one's looking really good. If you look at the armor diagram in the middle, though, the distribution's a little weird. So this thing definitely a little under-armored on the legs. Torso looks good, arms look good. So as long as you're not getting leg hunted, I think this thing will definitely stand up. But the defensive sim will certainly show us all of that. Let's talk about weapons real quick. So we mentioned the mighty Gauss rifle. Love this thing. Just such a fantastic weapon in every form of Battletech. It's got an LB-5X. Notably here, it's got 2 tons of ammo. So if you want, you can run slug and cluster, or you could run double slug, whatever you feel like doing there, depending on the game you're playing, of course, and what your opponent lets you run. But by default, it is one of each, which is good. It does have an ER medium laser, which is a nice backup weapon, an LRM-10, which again, very reliable, and then an SRM-2, which I'm not super bananas excited about, but it's something. I mean, honestly, the SRM-2's, it's not a streak. It's got 50 rounds of ammo just waiting to be blown apart. This is a clan mech, though, right? So case everywhere, so that will help. But let's dive into the offense first and see how it does in terms of the damage metrics. So check it out. This thing does not build up very much heat, and by that I mean it builds up no heat. You can just hold the trigger down on every weapon all day long, and this thing will not build up a single point of heat. It's mostly ballistics, so that's why. But is it doing good damage? It's doing good damage. 241.9. That is very respectable for a 65-ton clan mech. And what I want to do real quick here is I'm going to Battlytics.com and I'm going to look up the Hellbringer Prime, since this is what it was designed to replace. And we're going to check out what that Hellbringer Prime does in our offensive benchmark. So the Hellbringer Prime could build up a little bit more heat, but the baseline, ooh, actually a little bit higher, 253.1. But optimized, it's 276.3. So the Hellbringer a little bit ahead of the Cauldron Born. But in terms of lethality here, let's look at the Cauldron Born, bringing it back. So time to kill 7.3. That is very good. The Hellbringer was at 6.7. But overall, this thing getting that javelin, that target mule down 100% of the time by the end, and on average 7.31. That's pretty good. It's got very high damage per hit. And it's got, not bad in terms of the critical hits. It's got the clusters from the LRM-10. You can cluster shot with the LBX-5 as well to generate even more crits once you blow holes with the Gauss rifle, which I think is great. So you've got the SRM-2, the LRM-10, which again, remember, does not have a minimum range because it is of the clan variety, magic missiles, not the D&D kind. But it does have very special missiles that do not have a minimum range. So you can fire that, fire the SRM-2, you can fire the buckshot LBX, and you get a lot of opportunities for a critical hit there, which is pretty good. So overall, in terms of the offensive benchmark, it's strong. It's not quite as strong as the Hellbringer, but it's right in there. 240 versus 270. I mean, you're not talking about a ton. Let's talk about the armor diagnostics here. So flipping over to the defensive side, the armor's looking, pretty good. Again, the legs very well below spec. It's strong on the rear, maybe too strong on the rear. Maybe you could peel some of that off and put it on the legs. Arms are looking good. Torso looks fantastic. Torso is above spec based on that average, coverage of like 86% or whatever it was there. So, I think the distribution's fine. Again, I'd probably take some off the rear and move it to the legs if I had my way. But I don't, because it's an OmniMech. So let's talk about the mobility analysis here. So this one, you can see it is seeing more frequent critical hits. So 5.5%, that means, if you're taking 100 shots in a game, 5 of them are going to result in motive hits. That means for every 20 times you're shot at, you're taking a motive hit. And again, this is a blended average, right? So is that good? I mean, the thing moves quick enough that it doesn't see a massive degradation. But again, you take an unlucky hip shot, you're in trouble, right? Your 5.8 is really it's not moving very fast. So it doesn't have packed out leg criticals, which is another strike against this mech. It's got low leg armor, but it does have that high, initial target mod, right? +3. So let's talk survivability. The thing still survives 93.9% of the time. Very, very good. Very, very strong. It saw really not that many ammo deaths. Only 0.5%. I was expecting more, considering you've got the LBX ammo, but I guess that's all the way out in the arm, so that's really not going to kill anybody. It's going to blow the arm off, but whatever. And then, the left torso, the right torso, they have the LRM and SRM-2 ammo. But the chance to hit is pretty low. I mean, on the left torso, you can see I'm looking at the ammo analysis there in the bottom at the center. The left torso is a 1 in 3 chance, basically, to hit ammo if you get a critical there. The right torso is 1 in 6. So it's not that low, but I guess it's helpful, right? It's not just like a guaranteed ammo hit. Still, ammo death's very low. That's good. Engine deaths 2.7%. CT head kills are the other 3%. So again, surviving 94% of the time. I think I'm nitpicking the analysis there and breaking it down a little too much. I mean, the thing is really tough as nails, which is surprising, honestly, considering the armor coverage was, again, 86.3%. And the leg armor was so low. I would have expected it to really see a stronger degradation of that target mod and then just get picked apart. But tough is tough. It is what it is. Compared to the Loki, the Hellbringer. So I'm looking at those stats. Armor coverage on the Hellbringer is only 60.7%, and survival rate was abysmal, guys, 53.2%. So although the Hellbringer was able to do more damage, the Cauldron Born way tougher. And that tells me as we go into the efficiency analysis that hopefully we'll see a much smaller reduction in that damage over time. So let's take a look here. Yeah, that's looking real good. So 1.7%, only a 1.7% damage loss from our optimized ACD to our new effective ACD, the effective taking in survivability. It was obviously a much, much more substantial hit on that Loki. It lost 19.3% on the Hellbringer, 1.7% on the Cauldron Born. So this wasn't supposed to be a comparo, but it happened anyway. A little extra in here for you. So the Cauldron Born's efficiency rating is 8.7, extremely respectable. And you can see, guys, remember that purple line, that's a bell curve. That's all of the mechs that we have done up to the point of the start of the summer of Battlytics. I reran that bell curve. So there it is, right? And you can see, I mean, there's a very, very small number of mechs that are in that category that's to the to the right of 8. So being at an 8.7, it's definitely an elite class of mech. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck. And I had a suspicion when I saw the battle value on this thing that it was going to be good. So again, how does it all play into it, right? We've got a baseline ACD and an optimized ACD of 241.9. Remember, there's no heat to play with. I can't optimize this thing any further. The effective ACD, factoring in the deaths where you died, what turn the mech was destroyed, I only lost 1.7%. So I'm at 237.7%. So 237.7 points of damage compared to 241. So very, very good. If I'm looking at the Hellbringer, not so good. Hellbringer's at an efficiency of 6. So this thing is a huge step up, and it costs less. Phenomenal. All right, let's talk about gunnery sensitivity. So this thing has a pretty good gunnery sensitivity, 0.68. We've seen some as high as 0.7, 0.8. I don't think we've seen anything over 0.8. But this thing does pretty well, and you can see it climbs like most mechs do up to that 2 number. That is definitely the sweet spot, and that's where you get that 8.7. But you can get it up to like 9.5 at gunnery 0. It's going to cost more, but maybe it's worth it. To me, it's only got an LRM-10. It's only got a Gauss rifle at that like very long range bracket, which is where you get, in my opinion, the most bang for your buck on high gunnery mechs, or low gunnery mechs, I should say. The SRM-2, the ER medium, like you're going to be a lot closer with those. I guess the LBX-5 has some pretty decent range. The Clan LBX-5 has some pretty decent range as well. Still, I think Gunnery 2 is where you want to play this thing. I mean, if you look down at the effective damage by Gunnery, you're only picking up like, what is that, 30? Is it 30 points, from Gunnery 2 to Gunnery 3? So, I don't know. I mean, is it worth it? Maybe. But I think Gunnery 2, that's actually 50 points. I'm sorry, I'm going blind. 240 to 285. It's like, roughly 45, 46, 47 points. So it's a decent jump. But again, over 12 turns, is that worth, the uptick for the cost? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. To me, Gunnery 1 is almost excessive in this game. Gunnery 2, again, is kind of where I think the sweet spot is. But, that's a Ford Chevy debate. I mean, I think you could be good playing this at even at Gunnery 3 if you wanted to go in for a cheap Omni-Mech and the terrain was very dense. You're not going to get a lot of long-range shots. It's going to be more of a closer range fight, or there's weather, it's night, whatever. Anyway, let's talk about threat and roles. All right. Where would I play this mech? Everywhere. I love this mech. It's very cool. So the first thing is a Cavalrymac. I think this mech could be very strong in that role. I think that it's fast, right? 5.8's good. It's got good long-range punch, but it's got really strong, I think, short-range punch, too. You've got that SRM. I know the ER medium's not exactly a short-range weapon, but in my mind, I think, it's not something you're going to snipe with, right? So to me, using this mech to get across the field and tie up mechs in close, I think that's this mech in a nutshell. Especially when it's the small guy in the lance. So if you're playing this thing in a lance with Warhawks and the Stone Rhino, which we looked at, and some of these other big meaty mechs, this thing could be the guy that zips across the battlefield, right? Okay, Vanguard roll. If this is in a lance of heavy mechs, this thing is so tough. I'd put it front and center. Let it take some fire. You rip off an arm, hits an ammo bin, blows off a torso, like whatever. This thing is literally the Irish zombie. It is, it's not dying. I guess now I understand why it got that nickname. It all makes sense. But this is definitely the kind of mech I think you could play front and center. And lastly, I put it in a skirmisher role because it has that speed. You can hit and run with it. We did talk a little bit about the ER medium. It does have decent reach. So you can get out there. You can hit with the LBX, the LRM, the Gauss, the ER medium. Most of your weapons are in range. And you can hit fade. You can be really annoying with this mech. And if somebody does decide, if they send a couple of, a Locust and a Stinger to close on you, like, guess what? You're going to shred them. Anything that's faster than this mech on the IS side, even like a Wolverine or something like that, I'm going to put my money on the Cauldron Born. So, the other cool thing about this mech, and I didn't talk about this in detail, but it does not have lower arm actuators, only has uppers. So again, this is another one of those mechs with a 360-degree arc of fire. You can arm flip, and that's pretty good, right? Because you've got the LBX, you've got the Gauss. Those are formidable weapons. So very, very cool there that you can do that. Looking at the threat. So there's no max ACD because everything's zero heat ACD because it can't build up any heat, which is disappointing. I mean, I feel like anytime I see a mech where it doesn't build up heat, it's like, why? Like, why did you design the mech this way? I get it's an Omni mech, but still, I would have done something different maybe, but that's just me. So where does this mech really shine? You can see, outside of 15 inches, it's just okay. That is, primarily like Gauss, LRM 10, LBX 5 territory. You've got a lot of chance to spray and miss. Obviously, if you can hit with everything, you can deal a 30-point alpha strike, but the chances are you're not hitting with, all 10 of your missiles, right? You could get a good shot with the LBX and the Gauss. You could, definitely, see a 20-point alpha strike pretty regularly. But on average, at that range, you're doing substantially less. You're doing like 8 points, average calculated, 7.31 actually of average calculated damage. That alpha strike goes up at 15 inches when the ER medium comes into range, and then again at 9 when the SRM2 comes into range. But you can see the sweet spot for this mech where that zero heat ACD really gets close to that alpha strike is at that, that 6, 5, 4, 3, like that range, very, very good. And then I believe the Gauss hits minimum range at 2 inches, if I'm not mistaken. But, again, this is the kind of mech that you want to get in close. I didn't slate it as a brawler in my role evaluation, even though the threat says, yeah, it's more threatening at close, because it still can do a 30-point alpha strike at range. It is still the kind of mech that I think if you put it up against, a couple of, LBX 20 mechs or whatever, UAC 20, Stormcrow or one of those crazy clan variants, I think it's going to lose that fight. Because even though it has the Gauss, if the other mech gets into point blank and that Gauss is having a harder time hitting, you're going to lose against those bigger caliber guns. To me, the sweet spot for this mech is between like 15 and 15 and 5, right? That's where I would play this thing. So you're either out kind of hitting and fading and skirmishing, or you're closing that gap, and then you're trying to keep them just at arm's reach, so you're not in any minimum range, and you don't have to deal with, people coming up and kicking you or punching or doing anything like that. All right, anyway, so let's recap real here. Again, optimized ACD real quick, 241.9. Time to kill was 7.3. Survival rate was very high, almost 94% there. Strong movement, good target mod, but again, weak on the legs. So if you're playing Classic and you are playing partial cover where the legs cannot be hit, you hide this thing behind a level 1 hill. I mean, just do it. You know, or like the little like level 1 garage building in your city there, because that will definitely increase your odds of survival there. The legs are definitely the weak point here, but don't go out of your way to protect them because again, 94% survivability. Efficiency was fantastic. This is another winner. There are so many good clan mechs out there. I think if you look for the runs with sort of the right mix of weapons that aren't too fast, you know, and are priced right, like this one, just priced right, I can see the Cauldron Born fitting into a lot of different lances. This thing it's like a short stop. It doesn't cost a lot. It can play a lot of different roles. I love it. Can't wait. Can't wait to play one on the table. So that is, guys, my review of the Cauldron Born, aka the Ebon Jaguar. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there are other variants of the Cauldron Born that you love, and tell me why you love them. But that's all I've got. I'm done. Done analyzing. Don't forget to subscribe. That's my kind ask of you. We are so close to 5,000 subscribers, but I feel like just can't get there. But we still have so many people that watch that have not subscribed. So if you're one of those people, please subscribe. Other than that, for those of you that want to get more involved, you can head on over, check us out at Patreon. We have 3 different tiers, all sorts of cool things going on. Digital toolkits, we've got veteran challenges, all kinds of fun stuff. So you're definitely going to want to check those out if you want to get, again, more involved with the channel. And of course, guys, don't forget to check out Ares Games and Minis to satisfy all your Battletech needs. Minis, paints, books, dice, the new lance packs, box sets, you name it, he's got it. If it's in stock and available, he will be selling it. Derek has great prices and great shipping. So don't forget to check out Ares Games and Minis. But guys, that's it. I'm all done. Thank you so much for watching, and of course, stay tuned. Always great stuff coming from Death from Above Wargaming. Have a good night.